Alrighty. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are for part 2 of our drum programming tutorial series. So let's check out our beat for this week. This week we've got a slightly more involved beat than last week, a lot more going on with the hi-hat. So we should be able to address a few other techniques or just things to watch out for. But anyways, let's just get right to the beat. Let's check it out. Yeah, so like I said last time, let's just start off with the kick. Let's see what the kick's doing. Shouldn't be anything too crazy. So, got a kick right on the start. Let's do it. Like I said last time, if you've got 2 hits in succession like this, there's probably a difference in velocity between them, so it's always worth taking the time to address that down there. Boop, boop, ba-dap. And then, boom. Big one right at the end. So, now it should sound like we've just reinforced the kick with a sample. Let's check out if everything lines up. If I mute the samples, back to just natural sounds, come back in. Cool. Alrighty, that sounds correct to me. So we can move on to the snare drum. What's the snare doing? Boop bap. Drag that over. So let's see if that sounds a little more correct. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what we want. There might be little things like that. Like what I'm doing right now is I'm not trying to fix this performance at all. I'm just adding samples to recreate the performance with MIDI drums. I'm not trying to fix things or timeline things to the grid or anything. I'm just sort of reinforcing what's already being played here. Sometimes it might be more appropriate to perfectly align things with the grid and edit all the drums so they're also perfectly on the grid. But it really depends on the band. It depends on the artist. It depends what's appropriate for that song. It's always different. It's always different. Ba-bam-bam. And then I believe that is it for the snare drum. And see if we got it. And I'll mute the samples. And bring them back in. Lovely. Alrighty, I think we got the kick and the snare. So we can check out that, check out the toms, and there's just that one tom hit, I believe. Pretty sure at least. Get that back. That's cool. That should line up. Let's check it out. Bam. Easy peasy on the toms for this one. There's only one tom. That brings us to the cymbals, which will be a little trickier this time just because we've got a few little 30-second note sections on the hi-hat there. So yeah, that's where it gets slightly more intensive and there's more room to make things sound weird when you've got a lot more notes close together like that. But it's totally possible to make it sound reasonable, and I will show you. But let's start off with crash cymbals at the start. Sounds like I'm hitting the left and the right crash at the start. Okay, so yeah, at the start I'm just kind of implying these little eighth notes. But then right here I go into the little 30-second. So when you've got a lot of hats like that in succession, same with doing a roll on the snare drum or something like that, you're going to want to sort of stagger the velocities. Chances are a human drummer will strike the first hit a little bit harder than the ones following, and then it's kind of like a rising action from there. Something like that. And then it's like a depth to depth. Yeah, that's what's going on. Should it be all the way open? Yeah. Okay. So you can see I've got hat open, closed, 1, 2, 3, and then hat Lars, which I just call that Lars just because that's referring to Lars Ulrich from Metallica, and when he plays a closed hat, it'll often be a little sloshy like that, or at least on a lot of his popular performances. So I can't think of a better name for that. So, like I said, if you do a slightly open hat or a totally open hat, you're going to want to program a hit right after that to make it sound like you are closing the hat. So that's what that fella right there is doing. It doesn't sound like I opened the hat terribly, but maybe I do. Yeah, I think that sounds a little more appropriate than the Lars. The old sloshy Lars there. Oh, broke my own rule there. Gotta move that guy. And it sounds like I'm smacking crashes again. Even if you can't hear these little hits, it kind of just, it provides momentum for the rest of things, which might not be overstated, but it's certainly felt. So all these little hits in between might not seem necessary, I know, because you can't totally hear them, but you can certainly feel them, and that's kind of important. I'm confusing myself. It happens. It happens, though. You're staring at blocks. What are you going to do? What are you going to make sense of this all the time? And I'm lining up these guys with the kicks again. We're almost there, everybody. We're almost there. I know this is not very fun, but for somebody out there, this might help them. Oh, you can hear I do a little splash there with the snare. Da, do, da, do. And then it sounds like I'm hitting the splash and the crash on the right. So you can hear it kind of, I start opening the hat a little bit there. So I just checked a little Lars there for a second, did it, and then it closes again right there. And then it ends on an open hat right there. And we got the big old crashes at the end. The big old crashes. Okay. So that might be correct. So let's take a little listen here. Take a little look. got it pretty darn close there. Obviously, I didn't play everything totally to the grid like this, so it does sound a little more stiff than what I was doing, but I'd say this is pretty darn close. So, hopefully this shows you what a relatively humanized performance of MIDI drums looks like. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned something. Let me know if there's anything else I need to go over, or if you enjoyed it, or if you hated it. Subscribe if you don't mind, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Happy tracking, everybody. Peace out.